showcase some of the talented people who work behind the scenes in the entertainment, business, and local communities, while making positive influences on the lives of others.
Welcome to Producer Profile. I'm Stella Winston.
And I'm Jim Hill.
Jim, today we have a guest producer that is going to help us be healthy.
Yes, okay.
Because good health involves quite a bit. It involves eating right, it involves exercising, it involves drinking enough water.
Okay.
And our guest is Dr. Padu. Welcome to the show, Dr. Padu.
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Dr. Padu, I got to go right at you.
Okay,
As a
Jim.
black man, you know, I look at my brothers, I look at my yearbook. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. The stress that's out there. How does a black man, they say out of everything, we're an endangered species, et cetera, we're going to die too soon. What do we do? How do we stay alive out here?
That's a very
big
question. But of course, you know, a lot of our leaders do pass away too early. And some of that could be controlled or prevented. First of all, we have to look to the diet. You always have to check that. And actually, the types of food that we've been used to eating and that we had to survive on, you know, in the past, we're going all the way back to the times we were enslaved. A lot of us continue eating that same way, you know, and as a result, we develop a lot of high blood pressure, and which causes eventually strokes and heart attacks. In fact, our entire food choices are based on taste. And as a result, in our communities, you will find more McDonald's and Kentucky fries and all sorts of these fast foods that are really dangerous to our health.
Now, I want to ask you, when does your show come on, and what is the name of your show?
Okay, the name of my show, Stella, is Natural Healing.
Okay.
And it comes on Saturday on BCAT, Saturday at 3 p.m.
And you also host a radio show?
Okay, the radio show is
that?
called Health Quest, and it's on WHCR, which is 90.3 FM, and it's called The Voice of Harlem, and it broadcasts out of City College. Can be heard on the web at www.whcr.org. And it comes on Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay. Now let's get back to that big question.
Because I want to go back to stress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What would I eat? What would I drink to deal with the stress that I go through as a man out there? Okay. And I'm telling you, it's so serious out there. In terms of being knocked up against the wall by a policeman, whatever.
Yes.
What do I deal with? How do I deal with the stress?
All right, you have to deal with it on all levels.
Okay.
First of all, you're quite correct. Even Harvard Medical School came out with a report that said that the black male, especially, but black people in general, are under more stress than the rest of the community.
Right.
And as a result, that's one of the reasons why we're in such poor health. Now, what can you do? All right, I would say again, let's start first with diet.
Okay.
One of the things that we've been taught ever since we were little children is that you must have milk every day.
Right. Right.
You know, you gotta to build strong teeth and bones.
That's the way you get your calcium.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's an absolute lie. Because that's right. Because the countries that have the most dairy, milk and dairy, have the weakest bones. The tribes in Africa that use milk and dairy, they have the weakest bones. So that's definitely a lie. And when you eat cheese, you say, "Oh well, I don't eat milk because I'm lactose intolerant." But I do eat cheese because I got to get my protein. That's another thing, right? Well, if you eat cheese, you're getting 10 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of cheese. 1 pound of cheese, so you can concentrate.
Now, there's a clip that we're going to roll of yours, and you talk about the use of caffeine in the society, and you mention in the clip that that's how people get started. That's one way that people deal with stress. They drink their cup of coffee, and then they feel relaxed, and they're good to go. But people are drinking 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day. And I think in this clip you address the effects of coffee. Okay, so let's look at the clip.
I'm very concerned about this situation because women's health is definitely being jeopardized by this hormone replacement therapy, and that's all they know. And as a result, Many are being maimed. Many are having hysterectomies. In fact, how many hundreds of thousands of hysterectomies?
Actually, every year there are 1 million hysterectomies performed in this country, and the two leading causes are from fibroids and endometriosis, both of which are caused by an excess exposure to estrogens.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have found that by adding into the regimen, the health regimen, and natural progesterone, that it can help to shrink fibroids.
Yes, and reverse endometriosis as well. It's part of a program.
That endometriosis is that's a very dangerous situation, of which the medical establishment doesn't really have an effective cure that I've heard of.
No, nothing. They can only add more hormones. They can shut off women's own ovaries, which of course can upset their whole physiology, and prescribe procedures, and ultimately the cure for endometriosis is hysterectomy through the medical profession.
So at what age would you suggest that a woman, if she wants to protect her health, if she wants to protect her body from osteoporosis, which is big as you begin to get older, but at what age should a young woman start? Because most women think that, well, we got to wait until we hit menopause before we begin.
Well, I think a woman's use of natural progesterone is very much determined by the symptoms presenting. So if she's presenting with PMS, if she's presenting with fibrocystic breasts, if she's presenting with hormonally related migraines, or certainly the hot flashes, then those would be indicators that natural progesterone would be beneficial.
And people. Now, when you go, you need to be even aware of how to shop, how to get the best for your money, and how to get the real thing. Because even there, we know that the natural progesterone comes generally from the wild Mexican yam.
Okay, you're watching Producer Profile, and we're talking with Dr. Padu, and the clip was not on caffeine, and I'm sure Dr. Padu will address that issue of caffeine. But just like you're concerned about the health and welfare of black men, the health and welfare of black women is very much compromised with obesity and high blood pressure. And that clip addressed one of the issues with women, and that has to do with estrogen replacement. And that seems to be the way for women when they're menopausal, to where they're treated with estrogen. But in that clip, from what I understood, is that it's a very dangerous practice in the medical profession, and that there has to be a healthy balance between estrogen and progesterone. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And it's not only in menopause, but young women are being prescribed a pill, which is far stronger than hormone replacement therapy. And that is certainly creates an imbalance of estrogen in the body. Estrogen has been known to be the only cause, this is going all the way back to the late 70s, the only known cause of uterine cancer was unopposed estrogen. So I mean, it's known that it's kind of dangerous. So what the medical profession basically has done was they come up with something called progestin, which is supposed to be, most people think it's progesterone. It's not. It is a synthetic progesterone, but it's something that the human body has never known before. So you can get the side effects from it, and you won't get the efficacy as you would of natural progesterone. But they put that in because they had to change, they had to make a complete turnaround, because it was found that this estrogen was so dangerous, and it was actually a carcinogen. It still is. So they balance it out, so to speak. But they've deliberately not given natural progesterone because anybody could get it. They can't control that. You could go to a health food store and get natural progesterone. You don't need a prescription for that. They won't make the money. They make billions of dollars off of these hormones that they give in women today. And they don't care about the danger, it is to women.
Back during, centuries ago, women would take stuff right out of the garden and stuff like that, and they didn't really have those kind of problems like they're having today.
That's right. And not only did they would take things out of the garden, but they weren't being bombarded constantly with these what they call xenoestrogens,
Okay.
which are the estrogens that are dangerous to the human body.
Okay.
And again, you know what? It gets back to food again. We talked about the milk and the cheese and the dairy. Well, those are forms now of getting estrogen into your body.
Wow.
And that's why men are developing, one of the major reasons why men
They're
are
developing breasts?
developing breast and prostate cancer.
Oh.
And women, of course, are developing more and more breast cancer. It seems like it's now 1 out of 8 women will have breast cancer. And it's a lot of that is due to your food. When you take a food supply that used to be pretty natural, say 50, 75 years ago, and you start genetically engineering and you start putting hormones and antibiotics into their system, you change everything around. And when you go and eat those things, then naturally we take it into our bodies, and as a result, we get the ill effects of all these things.
Well, Dr. Padu, we're going to take a musical break right
Sure.
now. We're going to hear Curtis Mayfield. Now, Curtis Mayfield's music career began with the R&B group called The Impressions.
Okay.
And Curtis Mayfield is going to do a solo performance of the hit titled It's All Right. It's All Right.
Remember.
You remember?
I remember.
Okay. Let's hear Curtis Mayfield.
As we all get together and say, it's all right, come on, it's all right. Say it's all right. It's all right. Have a good time, 'cause it's all right. Whoa, it's all right. We're gonna move it slow. When lights are low, when you move it slow, it sounds like a moan. And it's all right. Whoa, it's all right. Now listen to the beat. Kind of pat your feet. You got soul, and everybody knows that it's all right. Whoa, it's all right. When you wake up early in the morning, feeling sad like so many of us do, make life feel cold, and surely something's gotta come to you. Then you'll wanna say it's alright. Tell me it's alright. It's alright. Have a good time, 'cause it's alright. Whoa, it's alright. Now everybody clap your hands. Give yourself a chance. You got soul, and everybody knows that it's alright. Whoa, it's alright. Someday I'll find me a woman who will love and treat me real nice. Then my road's got to go, and my love she will know from morning, noon, and night. And then you wanna say it's alright. Tell me it's alright. It's alright, have a good time, 'cause it's alright. Whoa, it's alright. Now everybody clap your hands. Clap your hands. Clap your hands. Come on, let me hear you out there. Tell me it's alright. Give me it's alright. Tell me it's alright. I say it's alright. A little bit of the spiritual hymn that goes like, hey. Come on, you know it. Hey, hey. It's alright. Hey, hey, hey. One more time, let me feel you in the back. Hey, hey, hey. Now when you go home late tonight, you better believe it's gonna be alright. All you need is a little soul partner to put your arms all around. Believe me, you gotta say it's alright. Alright.
Well, it is all right. And I'm sitting here with Jim Hill and Dr. Padu, and we're talking about what it takes to be in good health. Now, Dr. Padu,
Yes, ma'am.
you, as the name of your show indicates, natural healing. You're saying to go back to the food, to the source. But as you mentioned earlier, there are fast food joints all over the place, and this is what a lot of young people eat and a lot of adults eat. Do you feel that you are fighting an uphill battle with your message of natural healing?
No, I think more and more people are turning towards that because they see the results. People are getting tired of being sick, you know. They just and they no longer trust the authorities because they've been lied to so often, and they understand that. And as Jim was pointing out a little earlier, you know, in between sets, so to speak, actually, there's more to good health than just, you know, eating. And there's certainly a piece that you gotta, as Curtis Mayfield just said, is all right. There's certainly a piece that you got to have within yourself. There's where meditation or relaxation, real deep relaxation comes in too. Without, you have to get rid of this fear, because fear is also something that lowers your immune system. You know, so you have to understand that there's a lot within here. You know, the truth of everything is right within you, and you got to contact
So you're
it.
saying that emotions and understanding your emotions, the emotion of fear, is very important, and not to let that overcome you? Is that?
Well, that's part of what I was saying,
Okay.
sure.
One thing I want you to touch on, because you see, back in the day, when we were dying like it was legal,
Right.
Elijah Muhammad came out with this book called How to Eat to Live.
Right.
Okay. And the one thing that I was very strong in that book was the coffee. Okay. And to get us through the day, all of us was drinking coffee. Okay. I remember when Malcolm said, you know, just give Malcolm some coffee. He did all the right things with the food and stuff, but it was always the coffee. Now, that's what I've been surviving off. Tell me about this coffee now.
And I'm trying to kick it, let me tell you, Dr. Padu. So.
Well, as you know, coffee is very rich in caffeine, for one thing, you know. Coffee has a direct effect on the adrenal glands, and that's why you get that stimulant, you know, and that's what gets you going. But there's other ways to get it. Now, just think about this. Suppose you had a horse that was tired, and you just kept whipping that horse, and you whip him, he'll go, but eventually he's going to drop, you know?
Right. True.
So the coffee does that. It's basically a stimulant, and at the same time it's affecting your adrenal glands and wearing those down.
Okay.
And your adrenal glands are those glands that are there for fight or flight. And if you're not going to fight or flight, you know, and you activate those glands, then they become sort of dangerous. You know, the side effects are non-productive. In fact, they're actually, what would you call it? They're sort of, they work against you.
Okay. So now let me just say, because I'm trying to negotiate now.
Okay.
How about 1 cup of coffee a day?
No cups of coffee a day, and especially for women.
Right, because you were saying
Because
that with
that's
the
right.
fibroids and the tumors.
That's right.
Please elaborate on that.
Well, that caffeine, and you can find that caffeine not only in sugar, not only in what do you call it? In the caffeine can be found in chocolate. It can be found in regular sodas. It can be found a lot of different places. So when you want to protect yourself against the caffeine, you got to not only stay away from coffee, but from those other caffeine causing elements. And caffeine is a drug. So, I mean, if you want to stay away from drugs, you stay away from caffeine too, knowing it's a drug.
Wow, so I'm addicted.
Yes, well, definitely. If people go through withdrawal symptoms.
That's right.
When
you get
they,
headaches, right?
That's right.
A
When
lot
you're
of
taking them
times.
off of coffee, first 2 weeks, and let you really work with them to balance them off nutritionally, they go through severe withdrawal symptoms.
So let me ask you this. Now, tea.
Yeah.
Tea has
Okay.
caffeine. Right.
Yes.
Tea has caffeine too.
It certainly does.
Oh, wait a minute.
Certainly does. Now,
But it has other good stuff in it.
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, it's basically you have antioxidants from
Right.
most teas, even black tea. Of course, we know about green tea.
Green
You know,
tea.
green tea is one of the most powerful antioxidant teas there is. But even the black tea will give you antioxidants.
That's
So
right.
those antioxidants will help cells survive. You know, but you can find teas that don't have
Caffeine in
caffeine.
it.
So why not use those?
Wow.
Okay. Dr. Padu, I want to talk to you about your show. How long has it been running?
I think my show's been running about, well, maybe about 7 years now.
Okay. And what you edit or you don't edit? You used to edit your
I
own
used
show,
to edit.
and now you have someone else that edits.
Right.
Okay.
George Lamboy does my editing. Yeah.
And you have a weekly show? Is
I have
it
a weekly show, right.
And do you find it difficult to do a weekly show, or is it easy, very easy for you now?
No, it is difficult
let's
to
talk about
do
production.
a weekly show because number one, you have to have your guests, and a lot of times your guests will disappoint you. Not not on purpose, but things do come up, and so then you have to be able to do a little dancing. You know, you may have to do your show yourself as just a solo act, so to speak.
Okay.
And so you have to be prepared at all times. When you go in to do, say, 4 shows and you have 4 different guests and one drops out, you have to have other material to fill in there. So it's difficult. And then you have to have different subjects just about every week. Just think about that. Find a different subject every week for 52 weeks a year, or elaborating on some of those subjects that you've already covered. It's difficult.
Why do it?
Yeah.
Why do it? Well, I think that it's almost like an artist.
Okay.
That you say, why paint? You know, you just got to paint. you
Right.
know? It's there and it's got to come out.
But there's something you want to tell the world.
yeah,
Okay. There's something your show, be it whatever individual you get on. You know, you can have Macho Maria.
Yes.
Or you can have the toughest brother in the world. But there's something you want to say to this world.
All right, well, it's all about natural healing. Number
Okay.
one, that's why the show is named that, and that the body is able to heal itself.
Okay.
And the body has always done that. And we find that people that have had just about any disease you can think of, any you can think of, where the body has actually healed it without drugs, but just doing the right things. You have to add certain things, of course, that your body needs at that particular time in order for it to optimally work.
Now, what kind of response have you gotten with your show? Do people call in, and have they spoke about it favorably? Have they changed their lives as a result of watching your show?
You know, that's really the great benefit. When you hear people, and sometimes I hear from people that they've been watching the show for years.
Really?
And they say it's changed their lives. Now that makes me feel, like worthwhile. Because you don't get paid for doing it, but you do spread the word. And that's one of the things that I feel like it's a mission, because I have something called the Foundation for Natural Healing. And it's a non-profit organization, and you might even call it a church, but it's not, dealing with any particular religion, but it's dealing with letting people know that when they contact themselves, and develop themselves, that anything can be theirs. They can achieve anything.
Well, thank you for being on Producer Profile, Dr. Padu.
I loved it.
Yeah, I wish it could
loved
be longer.
Well,
Right.
thank you. It was my privilege and pleasure. And once again, to all our viewers, thank you for listening to this wonderful show. And I'll be trying to watch it myself when I get a little time.
You've been watching Producer Profile. I'm Stella Winston.
And I'm Jim Hill.
And until next time, see you.
Loved it.
That's good.